Hello, comrades. Commissar Bro here today with Dawn of I can't even speak. Good lord. Dawn of Andromeda. That's right. This game just came out recently from Grey Wolf Entertainment. And it's a pretty interesting 4X space strategy game from what I've experienced so far. I'm still particularly early in the game. And this video should be considered entirely an impressions video, more so than a full-blown review video. Because I have not, in my opinion, played enough of this game to be able to give a full-blown, full-fledged review type opinion. So, but I do want to show gameplay because it is incredibly interesting thus far, and I think it is at least worth showing off. The first thing, first and foremost, truly, is this game is quite beautiful. It looks very nice. Just like looking around at the planets, watching them turn around, you know, as they rotate around the gravitational field, as they orbit around a star. Yeah, that's right. It's pretty cool. I like that. It's just nice little touches. It's a lot of little graphical things as you just kind of like look around at the various planets. And I think that's the one thing right off the bat that this game has done a pretty good job of doing is kind of just showing off a nice little space simulation, which is pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit about how the actual game plays. It's different. It's definitely different. It streamlines some stuff, but makes some other stuff a little bit more complicated than what you're probably used to. However, it does it in a way that once you figure out what you're doing is still pretty interesting. With that said, let's take a look at the government. So this is an overview of our government. You know, you're probably used to seeing these in most 4X space strategy games. We are the Terran Union under President Kaza. We are currently a democracy, and our home planet is Terra 1, with our military power being 85 and technological power being 46. We do have several strategic resources that are currently available in our empire, being plutonium, aromium, and liquid hubernite. With all of these different resources, being strategic resources, having different passive bonuses that apply to your empire and so on. Each empire, each race, essentially has different traits. You can make your own, and there is abilities to... There is a campaign in the game, basically, is what I was trying to get around, but I kind of worded that weird. So, yeah, apologies. But there are different traits that make all the different races different from each other, aside from the way they look. As you can imagine, humans are not going to look exactly like the Scythons, which are, like, kind of bird-like looking dudes. I don't know how to explain it. They're weird, but it's cool. I like it. I like the way everybody looks in this game. Let's just go ahead and take a look-see. See, these are humans, and there's the Kenny. There's the Scythons, looking kind of like birds, in a sense, like reptile birds. The Drecos, the Olkar, and the Aethys, even though they're dead. That's a shame. And so on. There's a bunch of minor races. Minor races are denoted by being gray and having like a skull because they're like pirates. Honestly, there seems to be some limitations with how the minor races can interact with the major races. So that's one thing. And again, there are relations. You can interact with each one of these guys. Each one of them is kind of unique in their own sense. Again, if you've played a 4X space strategy game, you're probably at least remotely familiar with a lot of this stuff. There are casus bellis, so reasons to go to war, to fabricate those, and to do many of the diplomatic options, you need to have influence. Influence is denoted right here. It grows very slowly, but you can also trade it. It's a tradable resource along with currency. So you can actually sit there and trade credits, or you can trade influence for technologies, planets, and so on and so forth. There's a very extensive amount of options in this game for diplomacy, which makes me very happy, because a lot of times games tend to not be extensive in how they represent diplomacy, which is a shame, because diplomacy is probably one of the funnest parts of 4X space strategy games. A lot of them just boil it down to beat the shit out of the other guy and you win. So I'm happy that this game actually has quite a few choices to work with. So, like, for example, just looking at these choices here, we can sign a research pact. We can make them offer their submission to our party, basically tribute to us, or we can do the same on this side. Sign a non-aggression, form an alliance, do a truce, sign a peace treaty, while also offering resources. You can promise not to colonize, promise to end wars, promise to declare war, promise to impose an embargo, and then you can offer planets and then technologies and artifacts if you have any artifacts. I'm the only one who seems to have artifacts in this galaxy, but no big deal. We'll take it. And then there's additional things you can do. Again, you can praise them, which will increase your relations with that particular race. You can offer a declaration of friendship. And then again, you can insult them or threaten them or fabricate a casus belli and impose an embargo. So there's a pretty good list of things you can do. It covers just about all the bases that really need to be covered. Again, there's been a lot of games that have kind of moved away from diplomacy lately, which should not be done, in my opinion. Or they simplify diplomacy, which also should not be done. Diplomacy should be just as complicated as any type of military endeavor in a game, because truly, if anything, it's harder to convince two countries not to go to war with each other than to convince two countries to go to war with each other, or to actually fight the war, as it were. There's a lot of intricacies towards diplomacy, and I think that with that said, it should really be focused on. Again, we are the blue guys down here. If we're looking at the whole galaxy, we can see that I've explored most of it at this point in time. We're about 2 years in, and again, this game is real-time. It's not turn-based, so you'll actually see ships fly and move around, sort of like Sins of a Solar Empire. As you can see, our little ships moving there. I don't really have a large selection of ships right now. This is literally my entire fleet, and it's breaking the bank. We are not making a whole bunch of money. But before we get too far into that, I want to talk about the other resources that are currently in the game. You, again, have credits. Credits is your monetary system, simply put. You guys know how money works, I'm sure. There's the approval rating, which is similar to games like Endless Space or Galactic Civilizations. Your people can get pissed off, and if they get pissed off, things start to break down, and things start to not work, and people start not producing things. If you want more specifics about how the approval rating is, you click on the planet and you hover over the approval icon, and it actually shows you, gives you reasons. So, for example, Terra 1, the planet has dangerous fauna, which is a -10. And our population is terrified by that of an outlaw who is currently roaming the fringes outside of space. With that said, you have income that applies here. And then you can also see like your food production, your actual industrial production, the defenses of your planet. Defense, from what I understand, I haven't actually gotten to a real full-blown war yet, but defense operates in a similar fashion as some older games. Again, think kind of like Endless Space 1, not 2, but Endless Space 1, or even Stellaris, how Stellaris defenses are kind of, I think Stellaris, yeah, it's sort of Stellaris, like how defenses can be whittled down. The only difference is there doesn't seem to be any land battles, so if defenses are whittled all the way down, the attacker just automatically occupies it. So that's one thing. You can build ships over here, or you can build space stations to defend your territories from your opponents. I would recommend that you at least have a couple of fleet or ships, especially early on, because the AI minor races will fight you and will attack you and will threaten the shit out of you if you don't pay their protection fees. With that said, you've got infrastructure, which this operates as the entirety of your building queue. So other games, they tend to make you build, like especially like Galactic Civilizations or Stellaris, you have to put a heavy emphasis on kind of placing and building placement and so on, which provides passive bonuses and adjacency bonuses and so on. This game kind of simplifies the process, and instead of you actually having to sit there and worry about that, instead you sit here and worry about you have investment points, and you can put investment points into increasing housing on a planet, which will then increase your population limits. There's max levels, as you can see on the number on the outside denoting. So basically our current level of housing is only level 1, which pretty much means that we can have 2.4 billion people living on the planet. However, if we increase it, it goes up by 0.8 billion, going up to 3.2 billion. and so on and so forth. And that's basically, it grows over time. Again, it's kind of an automatic assumption rather than you having to sit there and manually build each thing. Now, you can auto manage each planet if you want to. So like it'll literally just auto manage your infrastructure. It won't build ships for you, but it will auto manage how your planet is laid out. So I could be like, well, I kind of want a more research oriented colony. And with that, then they'll start investing all the investment points, or the majority of them anyway, into research and maxing out research. So it's a pretty simplistic system on how planets work. I personally like it. I kind of like how, I don't know, I'm one of those people who I enjoy planet building stuff. So it's kind of like, if you have options where you have to build it and adjacency bonuses, I'm cool with that, but to a degree that gets incredibly tedious late games. So it literally makes auto managing necessary. But in this game, it simplifies the process. At the same time, the lack of more options to build on kind of is disappointing. It seems like I can't do as much to customize my planet, but it still is a strong system from what I've seen so far. Personally, I like it, though. Ultimately, I do like it. I do think it's simple enough to work. And that's kind of the good thing. It makes managing masses of planets a lot easier. And that's something I can tell. Like, if you turn on habitable planets as very common, then there's a strong possibility that you're going to see a whole bunch of having to micromanage these planets. Because, I mean, like, look, just in one singular solar system here, there's 4 planets. Of that, I don't really know how many of them are actually habitable. Like, living conditions bad. I think living conditions have to at least be decent for you to want to colonize it or to make it worth colonizing. But again, I'm not too sure yet. Again, entirely in impressions thus far. And first impressions are pretty strong. I haven't seen anything in particular that just baffles me or that I don't like or pisses me off. But from what I have seen, it does seem pretty solid. Something, I guess, so far that does seem kind of weird. Again, economic technologies. There's not a whole bunch of ways to increase how much money you're making. Or stuff like that. I mean, as you go down the line, there tends to be more stuff. But for the most part, what it only really does is increase the level. It increases like a resource growth. So like charismatic leaders increases influence growth or maximum influence by 5. I think I must be thinking of xenopolitics. No, I must be thinking of over here on this line. Yeah, there we go. Applied Xenosciences. Increases it by 15%. And as you go down, you can get stuff that allows colonization of certain planets, which is good. And then you have stuff which just increases the level of infrastructure or something. So like Inter-Xeno Leisure will increase social infrastructure in colonies by +1. And so on and so forth. Neural Studies increases your resource production by +1. So all technologies, for the most part, seem to be pretty much just kind of passive bonuses and stuff like that. They don't really seem to add too much to like the construction of your planets or the diversification of your planets. They seem to just add like infrastructure levels and so on. So like industry evolution here increases your infrastructure by 1. Military stuff seems to be a little bit more like, here's a piece of a ship, you can put it on your ship now. There is stuff like the shielded command centers and war propaganda, which again, they apply passive bonuses to your civilization and kind of allow you to customize your civilization more, which is cool and all. I don't know. I mean, it's functional. It's functional. It's not a bad system. It works. But the things I think I do really like is I love that they took a cue from Stellaris. So you actually have stuff that is like projects. You have random projects and events that will happen that you actually have to research in order for them to occur. So like if I want to increase relations with all these countries, these civilizations, I can literally study them, and then you learn more about their way of life. Thus, learning more about their way of life makes them like you more because you actually took the time to learn about them rather than just go to war with them. And then you've got stuff like these alien remains, which we're actually going to go ahead and add to the queue, the research queue now. If we wanted to look at our research queue, this is basically, you can see what everything is, but we are going to put the study alien remains at the very top. And I think that's That's good. That's good. Yeah, the rest of those are good. For the most part, I like how the technology queues work. I wish there was a little bit more technologies. I'm still early in the game, so there could be more, and I just haven't seen them yet. Suspect rift has been located. As signs of, yes, we should take a look at that later on 2 sends 1. Interesting. The old car has a proposal for us. Do they now? They want our aliens' remains. No. We sign a non-aggression. Okay, I will accept that. The old car sends something else. We offer them 700 credits. Hell no. I do not have credits, my friend. I am broke and losing 12 credits a week. So I do not want to do that. For the most part, I guess, to kind of sum up my impressions, I know I haven't talked about like prosperity and the effect prosperity has on your civilization. Basically, it's kind of another way to measure how well your civilization is doing, and it shows if it's growing or not. And food is same. You need food to feed your you need food to feed your civilization. You need 1 food per billion population. Differing passive bonuses can affect that, of course. Alien remains. Okay, they concluded it could be worth if sold to wealthy collectors or museums. So those alien remains might be a good thing then. The Threnny has a message. We've heard a rumor that might interest you. Nope, I don't want to pay for it. Sorry, I'm broke. The old car has claimed protection. That's cool. The Kenny has a message. Yeah, they found a planet for us. I would love to, but I'm really broke. All right, so we're just going to close out of the majority of these because we don't really care too much. The Scython is now at war with the Callahan. We have to declare war on the Callahan Republic, or the Scython will be displeased. Who else is at war? Okay, so apparently we just have to declare war on the Callahan Republic. Sorry, buddies. I had nothing against you, but my teammates do not like you. And thus, we must go to war. Declare war. Yeah, see, that's the first time I've actually declared war on somebody. I feel filthy. Anyway, so one other thing I am going to mention, Empire policies, again, taking a cue from Stellaris, passive bonuses that can further apply to your Empire to give you certain things like this, in this case, +5 approval at the cost of 2 credits a week. Your finances, you can set how much taxation you want in your Empire. As you can see, infrastructure and ships are really what makes up the majority of how much I'm paying, but unfortunately, I've got to have that stuff. Counsel. This is something else that's really interesting in the game. At the beginning of each game, you actually have to choose the council of your Empire. Again, they apply passive bonuses and affect how good your... It just applies more passive bonuses. Truly, that's what it does. They do have a happiness rating, each one of them. If they're not happy, then I imagine they'll quit. They're more likely to quit or to like do bad things. So you basically don't want them to be pissed off. Each one of these guys has different traits, positive and negative traits, that you can see by hovering over right here. As they level up, they either get rid of negative traits or they get better traits to tag along, make them more effective. Right now, I don't think there's really too much to this mechanic. I don't think anything really necessarily bad can happen. Again, I haven't seen anything that can happen yet, so that's kind of worth keeping in mind. And I mean, that's basically all I really want to touch on. You can design your ships. I mean, it's just like any other 4X space strategy game. You can make your own ships, so this is a common feature. You can choose what you want depending on what type of weapons and stuff you've actually researched and you've got. And I'm just going to keep giving a bunch of particle beams. All the particle beams! I want this ship to be nothing but particle beams. And I should probably give it an engine. Yeah, just give it solid fuel. Oh, damn it. Anyway, so this has been Commissar Bro. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little first impressions video. I do think currently, as it stands, if you're a fan of 4X space strategy games, you'll find something interesting in this game. You'll find it, at the very least, a good way to pass some time. I'm still kind of learning everything. I've only been playing it for about 2 to 3 hours. And truly... 2 to 3 hours is hardly enough time to even scratch the surface of games like this. So if you're looking for a full-blown review, I would recommend you keep looking at other videos, or you just purchase the game and try it out for yourself. For the most part, it seems incredibly interesting to me so far, and I'm definitely going to be putting some more time into it. But anyway, this has been CB. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.